Hello my lovelies, welcome to my little cottage by the sea, the place where I love to stitch and craft my way to a vintage inspired and sustainable lifestyle. In today's video I'm putting together a vintage utility capsule wardrobe inspired by, in part, 1930s French workwear. I've recently embarked upon a wardrobe audit and it's turning out to be one of the biggest I have ever done. This is a process every season where I sort through my clothes and I work out what's working for me and what isn't. I think that because I'm approaching a significant birthday and just feeling very different in terms of my physicality and my emotions, I am starting to need different things in my wardrobe. So part of the wardrobe audit is identifying gaps, and that is what I have done. And I've also been doing a lot of research about artists for Patreon, where I give a monthly fashion history and culture talk. And this year I'm focusing on fashion and art and how the two intersect and inspire, relate to each other. So with all of these things in my mind, I started to think about 1930s, my favourite era for fashion, and this notion of French workwear. So the ideas in my brain collided and I started to do a bit of research, and I thought I'm just going to put together a capsule collection, and because I've enjoyed it and found it really useful, I just thought that I would share it with you here today. Now, when I am thinking French workwear, there is one place that is just perfection for this concept. So before I dive into all the patterns and fabrics and outfit concepts, I am going to take you to one of the loveliest little shops here on the coast in East Sussex called Sunless Antiques. Once I'd got some wonderful inspiration from Sunless Antiques, and a huge thank you to them for letting me go and film. I will link them in the show notes so you can go and have a look at all of their beautiful things. With the inspiration percolating away in this here brain, I came up with some criteria for my capsule collection, and I've got some notes here. I wanted my capsule collection to be seasonless. I wanted adaptability in terms of the amount of outfits that I could put together, but also the way in which that pattern would look in different fabrics, so changing the feel and the vibe of the outfit or garment. I wanted it to be vintage inspired because that is who I am, or I wanted it to be vintage styled. So even though some of these patterns are modern, you could style them in a more vintagey way, or you could wear these pieces with vintage things and really mix and match. I need wardrobe heroes. By this I mean classic pieces, core patterns, core garments that are going to sit really comfortably in my wardrobe, and I'm going to be able to style them in a myriad of ways. So now we've had a little look at the inspiration and criteria, I'm going to just talk through the patterns that I have selected for my vintage utility capsule collection. Then I'm going to talk about some fabrics, and then I'm going to talk about outfit concepts. I will link every pattern and fabric as far as I possibly can in the show notes, and these are all patterns and fabrics that you can get hold of now. So to start with, we're looking at tops. So I selected, and do excuse me reading my notes, I can't possibly remember any details or facts whatsoever these days. So starting with tops, we have the Anthea blouse by Anna Allen Clothing. I thought that this blouse was quite classic. It could look very different depending on the fabric that you use, and also it looks really comfortable, and I do like a poofily sleeve. Then I selected the Factory Top by Merchant and Mills. This has got a lovely sort of 50s vintage vibe to it, and I just really like the look of it. And then finally the Pussy Bow blouse by Sew Over It, and they've got a hack version which I actually really love. They're three very different style blouses, but they will give you a huge amount of scope in your vintage utility capsule wardrobe. Then dresses, because I am a dress girl. I went for this pattern from an Etsy shop called Vintage Patterns to Sew, and it's the 1930s Simplicity 2439. Now, this is a 1930s inspired French workwear wardrobe, and I really love the way that you can make really fabulous tea dresses and 1930s dresses, late 1930s, early 1940s, which is my favourite peak dress period, and then style it up with more sort of tailored workwear. So that's the kind of vibe that I'm going for. Then we have the Amelie dress by Merchant and Mills, and this made me think of sort of 20s, early 30s. It's inspired by chore coats and house coats and things that would be worn to do all the chores that one has to unfortunately do in one's life when one does not have a retinue of staff to make one's life work. And then we have the Corley dress, also by Merchant and Mills, which is based off of a style of dress which I'm going to pronounce wrong, called Biords, which are antique workwear sort of smocks really, but I really loved the details of this. And depending on how you style these dresses, that is where the magic happens. Then we have bottoms, aka skirts and trousers, and these are also all by Merchant and Mills. It's very Merchant and Mills heavy, this one, but they're great at this sort of vintage utility look. So I really fell in love with, and actually this was the pattern that I found that really kind of started this whole concept, and it's the shepherd skirt, and I really love the volume of it, but it's fitted at the waist. Now I would normally just repeat make my full circle skirt, it's my favourite, but I actually want to try something different. So the shepherd skirt looks fab. Love the little button placket details. Then we have a couple of pairs of trousers. I'm a little bit about trousers, but they also have the pegs trousers. I recently bought a pair in a second-hand shop, in a charity shop in Tenterton, and it's this exact shape, and I really like those trousers. Now normally I would end up pattern cutting my own, but just for the sake of this, these are exactly the trousers that I like. And then the Quinn trousers, which also has that lovely placket detail on either side fastening. I've gone quite outerwear heavy on this capsule collection because one of the things that I'm finding doing my wardrobe audit is that I just don't have jackets. I don't have those throw-on pieces, layering pieces that you can pop over a pretty dress. First thing is a jumpsuit, and it's the Thelma from Merchant & Mills. I'm not being sponsored by them today, by the way. Just really like the look of the patterns. Then we have the Zero Waste Workwear jacket by Birgitta Helmerson. I endeavour to live my life as sustainably as possible without sacrificing style, and I just think this looks really interesting. It's an oversized workwear, classic workwear jacket, but it's got some nice details on it. I especially like this, what looks like gathered detail on the back of the sleeve, and I'd be, just as a pattern cutter, really interested to see how this works as a pattern concept. Then I found the Sienna Maker's Jacket by Closet Core Patterns, which has definitely got the vibe of this 1930s, 40s house coat that I found on Pinterest land. This one in denim, but I thought this would give you exactly the same look. Lots of lovely details. Then the Sylvan Jacket by So Liberated. I really like the sort of shawl, tiny rounded collar on this, and I thought that the jacket version in maybe a quilted fabric would look amazing. And finally, the Francine Top by Merchant & Mills, which is sort of a pullover that you make in fabric, and I thought that would be brilliant for some layering pieces. I also want to add in some lingerie, because Project Lingerie is still a go, not necessarily in the way I had thought it would be, but I'm going to be drafting some really lovely camisoles and slips in beautiful fabrics to wear under these items. And then I wanted to have a look at some vintage repro for bras, because I just don't think I'm going to get around to making bras at this particular moment. So now we have the inspiration, the concept and some patterns. Let's have a little look at some fabrics. Now fabrics, for me at least, is the most fun part, but it can be the most daunting, and it's definitely the place where my ADHD shows up and I just can get very overwhelmed. But it's really about editing, and that is what makes a capsule wardrobe, whatever type of capsule wardrobe you're planning, that's how you make it work, is by editing your fabrics down. So the first thing that I do is I choose a base or a couple of base colours, and for me this is black and it is ivory. Now that I've chosen my base colours, I'm going to choose 2 or 3 accent colours, and I'm going for sort of pinks, those kind of dusky pinks, antique-y, vintagey, pinky rosy colours, and then I'm going to add shots of metallics and pearl. Then you can add in maybe a more vibrant colour that you can use in sort of smaller doses. Maybe these are colours you wouldn't do a whole outfit in, but you might do the buttons or stitching or bindings, facings, linings, little bits, lipstick. So I'm gonna maybe go for like a red, but you could also do all of this capsule collection with indigo denims, and the denims would still go with the creams and so on. So there is rather a lot of scope, even if you've restricted your colour palette to just a few colours. I've also added in a couple of prints here because I love a print, and by playing with these patterns in unexpected fabrics, you're going to create something really interesting and fun for your handmade wardrobe. So I've chosen a couple of Liberty prints. We've got the CAPSULE print here and the Devonshire print, 2 blush pink on ivories. And then, because money is no object in this fantasy capsule wardrobe, I've chosen this silk crepe de chine, also from Liberty, which is called Betsy Fields, and it's in a darker floral. Most of the base fabrics are from the Merchant & Mills website, and then I also saw this beautiful print, which is their own design, and it's a seersucker, which I think is called Jouy Bleu Dongari, might be pronouncing that all wrong. So those are all my fabrics, and what I want to do is really play around with texture. So now that we've looked at some fabrics, let us get into the outfit concepts. So the first concept is the 1930s simplicity dress here with the Sienna Maker jacket, the longest version, and I'd do the simplicity 1930s dress in the silk crepe de chine with a ivory linen version of that jacket. So the jacket would sort of almost look like a dress, another layer that you could wear over this really beautiful 1930s dress, over the silk. And I just thought that is a really fabulous outfit. You can buy that pattern, as I said, and I've linked it below. I'm probably going to draft that out for myself in my size using my bespoke blocks, and I'll probably do that with my coven, Tara Stitch coven, over on Patreon at some time in the near future. You swap out the silk for the Merchant & Mills seersucker, and then maybe make the jacket version of the Sienna Maker's Jacket in a black twill. Whole other outfit concept. So the second concept is based around the shepherd skirt, which is the pattern that I am really the most interested in out of all of these, and the one that I'm going to be prioritising. So you could make this in linen or twill. I've put the 3 fabrics here, so there's a black twill, a sort of dusky pink twill, or I've got just a picture of the ivory linen, but you could use ivory twill. Then I would make the pussy bow in maybe this ivory metallic flecked cotton, which is really beautiful, or a sand washed silk, or even in the CAPSULE Tana Lawn in this lovely blush pink. That metallic flecked cotton is Merchant & Mills, and it's new on the website. That gives you sort of 3 very different looks, and it makes me think 1930s. And I thought that actually if you did the Francine top in a slightly different tone of whatever you do the skirt in, you're creating this texture. When you're using quite a monochromatic colour palette, which I'm doing here, one of the ways to sort of make it not look flat, to make it visually more interesting, is to play around with texture. And even though this is a workwear inspired collection, it's not necessarily needing to be usable in that sense. I still want the sort of vintage glam that I really love. If you do the shepherd skirt in the black twill, you could sew the Francine top in maybe a lovely linen, for example. And the idea is that this is, although I want this to be seasonless, some of these pieces, depending on the fabric, are going to be more suitable for the warmer months, the warmer seasons, and then you could make these in more winter, autumn, winter appropriate materials, depending on the time of year. If it's getting a little bit colder in the evenings or wherever you are, you could add in the sylvan jacket in a quilted fabric, and I thought this would look really, really fabulous. You could quilt your own, you can buy quilted fabrics, ready quilted, plain or printed, and you could have a lot of fun, and that whole layered outfit would be really beautiful, I think. Outfit concept number 3 would be wearing that same pussy bow blouse but with peg trousers, and the peg trousers could be in linen if it's sort of warmer where you are, or you could do them in a lovely wool for the colder months, and this would make a wonderful work outfit if you have to go to work somewhere, or you could wear it with heels and really spangly jewels and go out for cocktails. The 4th outfit concept is the Anthea blouse and Quinn trousers plus the zero waist workwear jacket. You could use either twill or linen to sew the trousers and the workwear jacket and make them in a sort of suit type combo. And then the blouse you could do in any of the lovely Indian cottons that are currently on sale at Merchant & Mills, or in the Devonshire Liberty print, or even in the silk, so that you're taking this sort of workwear to this more luxe sort of place, more of a luxury vintage utility workwear outfit. Then concept number 5 is the Omelie dress, and dresses are really sort of almost complete outfit all on their very own, which is why they're so easy, I suppose. I thought that this would look really lovely in a lighter weight linen or a really beautiful ivory linen, even maybe recycle one of those beautiful monogrammed linen bed sheets and use some lovely vintage mother of pearl buttons as a real feature, because this dress has this placket. But you can also do a hack for this. I saw on their website that you can make this dress without the button placket, which kind of changes it up. And I thought that if you wore this cinched in with a really fabulous statement belt, you'd create a really wonderful outfit. The sixth outfit concept is the Thelma jumpsuit, and I'd make this in the Dusky Rose twill. I'm actually wearing a jumpsuit today. Like dresses, they are a complete outfit in and of themselves, and even though sometimes I have problems in trousers, I really feel great in a jumpsuit, which is why I wanted to have one in this little capsule collection that I've put together today. And I thought that the Thelma jumpsuit, you could wear it on its own with an amazing pair of high heels or with ballet flats, whatever. Really, really versatile wardrobe hero, a core piece. But maybe you could layer it over a pussy bow blouse in the Liberty silk, and then wear over that one of the workwear jackets, and that is an incredible outfit. We have number 7, the Cooley dress in ivory linen. And what I would say is that making this dress, I'd take real care and attention to the lovely details, then make a really lightweight seersucker version of the Sylvan jacket to wear over the top of this dress in a really lovely lightweight linen. This would be really cool on a warm day. I suppose you could do it with short sleeves if you wish, and belt it if you wish, wear it with some sparkly flip-flops. For our final outfit concept, number 8, we are circling back to the Sylvan skirt, which is really my favourite from all of these patterns. You could sew this in a beautiful linen and pair it with the factory blouse in this really beautiful woven Indian cloth, cotton. Then you could add in the Sylvan jacket in the seersucker, which gives you the opportunity to really play with contrasts, with textures and prints, which is a really clever way of creating interest in a monochromatic palette. I think how you style your outfits and the accessories that you use is really going to determine whether you create quite modern versions of this 30s inspired capsule collection, or whether you make it look much more vintage. It's so versatile, these pieces, and then you've got so much scope in the fabrics that you choose as well. As you can see, there's just so much scope for creating a myriad of outfit concepts with just these few patterns and the fabrics that I have selected today. Now I want to overhaul my entire wardrobe, and I want to make just about every single one of these patterns. They're really resonating with me. I'm feeling really drawn, especially to things like the shepherd skirt. And I just think we go through changes, we evolve as people, and so we should. And our style should evolve with us and reflect who we are and where we are in this particular stage of our lives. I'm feeling very different physically and emotionally from where I was when I started this channel just a few years ago. And I think that by adding in some of these really useful, hard-working wardrobe pieces into my vintage inspired and sustainably thrifted wardrobe, I am going to create a wardrobe that really works hard for me. Using the patterns that you love over and over again is a really sustainable way of dressmaking, and just as I have suggested in this video, by using lots of different fabrics, so making, say, the shepherd skirt in lots of fabrics, you're creating very different looks for the same pattern, and that's a really sustainable thing to do. Even though this is a utilitarian wardrobe, it's meant to be really functional, I am not necessarily focusing on that side of it. It's more the styling and the detailing and these really good quality core pieces, like those vintage pieces we saw in Sunless Antiques that were so beautifully made and have stood the test of time. That's what I'm aiming for. But I think it's fabulous to have a bit of fun with your fabric choices. So maybe that shepherd skirt could be made in some kind of velvet or brocade for other seasons of the year or different occasions. So it's really an opportunity to have an enormous amount of fun and really get into your dressmaking creativity. So I'm going to be focusing on creating these heirloom pieces, these wardrobe heroes, as I move forward stylistically, and of course I'll be sharing that journey with you here. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend the time with me here, and for being just the loveliest, kindest hearted, most thoughtful people that a YouTube person could possibly wish for. I really am appreciative of all of your kind words and your time, because that is the one thing that we cannot replace. Wardrobe pieces can be resewn, clothes that we grow out of can be remade, but the time we spend doing it and how we choose to spend our time are one of the things that is not a replaceable resource. I hope you found this useful and enjoyable. Do let me know what you think, and if you want to make any of these outfit concepts, which one has struck a chord with you, has sparked the creative flame, if any. I hope that wherever you are, my lovelies, you're keeping safe and well, and I shall see you soon. Till next time.